Hey, juniors and junior parents. I'm sending this video out to talk a little bit about planning ahead for next year. This is the time of the year towards the end of the school year when I would normally be going in to talk to juniors to kind of preview how to plan over the summer and how to plan for next school year as far as figuring out what they want to do after graduation. And the information I'm going to share today does not assume that everybody knows where they're going or knows what they need to do. And I'm really not trying to push you to decide this stuff. But I know that there are a lot of students that are really starting to think about this more seriously as they get into their senior year. So I want to preview some things you can do this summer, as well as kind of what to expect next year for timelines, depending on the different options that you're looking at. And this is such a weird time right now that all the normal ways things that are done are really kind of out the window as the situation is evolving. So I'm going to give you my best shot at telling you kind of how things are sitting now, but know that there continue to be changes over the summer that you're going to have to keep tabs on. I'm also going to send out to the juniors via email and via the Google Classroom just some written notes about this so they can come back and look at it later when they're ready for it. But I thought the video format is a little bit easier just to sit down and listen to. So you'll get this information a couple different ways. Now, what you want to do over the summer and into next year kind of depends on what you want to do after graduation, or at least the options that you're considering. So, if you are a student that knows that you want to get right into the workforce, whether you already have a job opportunity or you are planning on finding one, the best thing you can do this summer is just to get a job. It's going to give you the work experience that you're going to need to put on a resume to show that you have been a good worker. That'll give you a leg up in getting hired. But it's also going to give you a chance to practice those essential skills that employers tell us that they're looking for. They want people that have a good work ethic, that will show up on time and do the job that they're asked, that can work with other people well. So this is a good opportunity to get a job and practice those skills. And if you're able to manage a job during the school year, you may want to continue working in some capacity next year as well. If you are thinking of joining the military, whether you're looking at going active duty or whether you're looking at doing a part time situation like the Guard or Reserve, your first step is going to be to get in touch with a military recruiter. You can just go online and look one up. There's going to be recruiting offices both in the Fargo area and in Detroit Lakes, and there's recruiters for the different branches that are around the area. The recruiters are really going to be your guide to how to get into the military. They will inform you about the opportunities in each of their branches and the requirements to get into those. Um, Generally, the sooner you decide to enlist, which is when you actually sign up, the better job options you're going to have. It really just depends on what their needs are within that particular branch or in their unit at that time. Another thing you're going to want to do is get in shape. So if you haven't if you haven't signed up for a FIAD class next year, you might want to consider doing that. You're going to have some fitness tests you're going to have to pass, as well as be in decent shape for basic training. So take care of yourself physically. The other thing is that if you didn't take the ASVAB last fall when we offered it, or if you didn't do as well as you think you could have done and you want to try it again, you have two options. One would be to take the ASVAB again this coming fall when we offer it at the high school. The other thing you can do is you can work with your recruiter to set up an appointment to take it on your own through MEPS, which is their military entrance processing services place up in the Fargo area. They can hook you up with taking it anytime there. So going into the workforce and getting into the military are a little bit more straightforward than if you want to go to college. And so a lot of this information from this point on is going to be referencing if you want to go to college. So where to start? The first thing that you're probably going to want to do is research some of the programs that are out there just to kind of see what your options are. I'm going to include on this handout a list of different questions that I think are helpful for starting points. Things like, does the school even have the major or program you're interested in? Are you going to meet the admissions requirements for that program? Can you afford to go to the school? And some other things like that. If you have schools that you know you're interested in, Just go to their website. College websites have a wealth of information on them, and they usually aren't too difficult to navigate. If you really aren't sure where to even start, I always tell students that I think a really easy place is to think about location. Do you want to be within a certain distance of home? Do you want to be a certain distance away from home? For most students, that's a really easy way to start to narrow in where they want to be. What kind of school do you want? Are you looking at a cosmetology school? Are you looking at a trade school like for welding? Do you want to go to a 2-year program? Do you want to do a 4-year program? You want to start at a 2-year and transfer. There are so many opportunities to find just the right fit for you. So seeing what's out there, I think, can help you start to narrow down what it is that you're looking for in a school. The other thing that you're going to want to be looking at kind of at the same time is, what are you interested in studying? Why are you going to school? Is there a certain job that you are interested in, that you're looking for a training program for that job? Maybe you're not really sure anything specific, but you have a general interest in working with people, or working with technology. Those kinds of things are part of the process of narrowing down what it is that you want to do. A really nice tool that we have available for you is the MCIS website. And I don't know how much you used it this year, but you for sure would have used it in ninth grade when you were doing your career unit. I'm going to include the website and the kind of the generic username and password on the handout. It's a great resource for taking interest inventories. You can take different little questionnaires about what are some of the skills that you want to use a job, what are some of the things that are important to you in a job. You can do surveys, a couple different ones around your interest areas, to see what kind of jobs are suggested as maybe being a good match for you based on the things that you like to do or that you feel you are good at. That website also has really good information about college majors as well as colleges. And so it's really linked together quite nicely. So again, on the handout, look for the website and the login information for the MCIS program. I just like it because sometimes when you Google stuff, you have to sift through a lot of junk to find the good quality things, and everything on this website is pretty good. The next thing that you might want to think about this summer is taking the ACT. And this has gotten kind of complicated because it's been canceled a couple times in Holly, as well as their April nationwide test date got canceled. So the handout's going to have quite a bit of information on it. I'll try to summarize it for you. First of all, do you need to take it or not? Well, the answer is it depends. If you're going to a 2-year or a short-term training program, you almost never need to take the ACT. It's just not a requirement. What I'm expecting is going to happen, because I'm starting to hear that, is more and more 4-year colleges are not requiring the ACT as part of their application process for next year. They are looking at going test optional. So that means that if you don't have that test score, you can still apply to the college and you can get in based on the other information you provide. And if you do have a test score, you can also submit that. That is not going to penalize you. They'll just look at that if it's something that will help you. Keep in mind, though, that just because a college may not require the ACT for admissions purposes doesn't mean that they won't still need that test score to determine if you are eligible for scholarships, because those are oftentimes two separate processes. So my advice for you is, if you have a college in mind that you are thinking pretty seriously about, check with them to see what their requirements are at this point. And I think this is going to continue to evolve over the summer and the fall. But if the schools that you're looking at say, nope, we do not need that test score, then you probably don't even need to take it. If you aren't sure what you are going to do, but you know that you're considering a 4-year college, you just don't know what that's going to be yet, I would still take the ACT to be on the safe side, because it's much easier to have it and not need it than to try to take the test later on, kind of last minute. So when should you try to take it? Um, so our June 2nd ACT test date at the school was canceled. I talked to Ms. Anderson this morning. She's not sure yet if the school is going to offer the fall testing opportunity. So what I would recommend is that you look into taking one of the national testing sessions this summer. They have one that's in June, which is June 13th, I believe. And then there's another test in July, which is July 18th. You can still register for the June test through May 22nd, so just a couple days. But I have heard from people that it's really hard to find an open seat right now. I think that testing sites are probably not all giving the test like they normally would because of our social distancing guidelines. Additionally, with the statewide testing in Minnesota being canceled and the national April test date being canceled, lots of students are trying to get in. So don't be surprised if you don't find a seat in your preferred location for the June date. So July may be a better option. I've heard talk that ACT is looking at doing online proctoring where you could take it from home and have it proctored. I don't know a lot about what that's going to look like, but you may see that on their website this summer. I know that the SAT program is looking at adding additional test dates, and I won't be surprised if ACT follows suit. So, your best resource is going to be the ACT website, which is actstudent.org. That is actually where you're going to go to register for the test. So for the national testing dates, ACT sets dates and locations across the country on their schedule that has nothing to do with us. In fact, Holly isn't even a testing site on national dates. It's the responsibility of the student, along with their parents, to register for the date and the location that they want through the ACT website. The school doesn't have anything to do with that. So you'll want to look into that. So actstudent.org. I get students that ask sometimes about the SAT, if they should be taking that one. The SAT is another college entrance exam that's offered. We'll see it used more on the colleges on the East or West Coast or highly selective colleges. Around here, the Midwest, you really hear admissions and scholarship info referencing the ACT. So that's the one that the On to College Prep program prepared you for. And that's one you're going to see most often here. So the ACT is the one you're going to hear us talk about. If you're looking at going to school far away from here, you might want to check with them and see if they'd prefer the SAT. And again, same process where you have to go right to that website and register directly with the ACT. And the web address for that will be on the handout. All right. So the third thing you might want to do this summer is to think about doing a college visit. And I'm going to use the term visit kind of loosely because many colleges aren't able to have in-person visits right now, which makes me really sad because that is probably one of the best ways for students to see if a college is a good fit for them. We're seeing more and more colleges offer virtual tours, and those may look like where you just go on the website and can kind of watch a video, or it could be where they actually have like a student tour guide in the admissions office who's kind of giving you narration during this pre-recorded tour. Everybody's kind of doing it a little bit differently. But if nothing else, at least a virtual tour is going to give you an idea of what that college is like. And hopefully, as you narrow down that list, you'll have the opportunity to do an in-person visit later on, whether it is later this summer or even into next school year. So you can do visits either during the summer or during the school year. Summer is a bit easier to schedule, but you also don't have as many students on campus to get that same feel. In the fall, over our MEA break, lots of colleges are going to do special visit events. We'll see if that happens this year, but that's an opportunity to get on college campuses traditionally. We'll just have to kind of see how things go. I'm putting some suggestions on the handout for how you can customize your admissions visit, whether it's a virtual one or an in-person one. When you sign up to do a tour, oftentimes you'll just go online to their website and they'll have a page there where you can sign up for a date and a time that you would like to do a tour if you're doing an in-person one. You can also call the admissions office and set up a time and date. Colleges are going to offer these at a lot of different times, some on the weekends, some not during the weekends. So you'll just have to kind of look and see what fits best for you. But if you call the admissions office, sometimes you can request to sit in on a class or sit in on a choir rehearsal or check out the art studio or whatever the thing is that you are interested in doing in college. And they can kind of customize it to let you see more of the things that you are interested in. So over the summer, ACT, Maybe start researching some colleges and start narrowing down maybe what kind of college it is you're interested in, what you're interested in studying, if that's the route you want to go. Now, here's the timeline for the fall. And these are going to vary college by college. I'm just going to give you some general guidance so that you're going to be set up in the best way possible to take advantage of the opportunities that you're going to have and not miss out on anything. So, in the fall, you should kind of finish that process of narrowing down where it is that you want to go. You do not have to have that decided at the time you apply. I've had some students that have narrowed it down to maybe 8 to 10 schools. Other students have narrowed it down to one or two. It really varies by the person. But you're going to start the application process once school has started. My suggested timeline for you is to get that application in by Thanksgiving. The reason for that is then you are going to catch all of the scholarship deadlines, all the high priority deadlines for kind of certain perks that colleges might have. You do not have to apply by then. Colleges will continue to accept applications as long as they have space, which for most schools is going to be well into the spring. But if you have a goal for applying in the fall, I think you're going to be less stressed about it, and you're going to be able to get the other things done in a little more timely manner. A lot of colleges in Minnesota offer a free application period the last week in October. So that's kind of a nice goal time that if you know you're going to go to a certain Minnesota college or applying to one, I should say, that you know that you're going to have that application fee probably waived in October. A lot of times, if you want a college visit, they'll let you apply for free while you're there too. So keep that in mind. The application process is usually going to include the college's application, which they're almost always online now. You will need your high school transcript, and this is an official one usually that has to be sent right from Holly High School to the college to which you're applying. I will get juniors more information about that in the fall. There's a program called Parchment that we use to send our transcripts. The third thing that you may need is an ACT score. Again, it's going to depend on the college you're applying to. Um, there's usually an application fee involved, somewhere between $20 and $50, and there are fee waivers available for students that can't afford the fee. Just talk with me and I can help you with that. You may need your college transcript if you've taken college classes here. Most of the time you don't need those, but make sure you're reading the directions because sometimes your college will want those transcripts as well. So if you've taken college English or college algebra or a Nat and Phys or an online class, you have a college transcript already. If you're applying to a really selective school, they may need things like essays or letters of recommendation. Um, Most students don't need those things for their application, but basically, what you should do is read the directions on the application. They will lay it out for you, and make sure you're paying attention to deadlines as well, because again, highly selective schools are going to have different deadlines. You may see something called the common application, which is just a certain application that's more involved. If you end up using that as part of the application process for your college, come and see me because there's some stuff I have to do to make that happen as well. So, first thing is apply for college. The second thing that you're going to do is you're going to apply for financial aid by filling out the FAFSA. The FAFSA for the 21-22 school year, which is when you would be looking at applying or attending, opens up October 1st. So you cannot fill it out before October 1st. If you do, you're filling out the wrong one for the previous school year. So anytime after October 1st, you can fill out the FAFSA. A college can't process your financial aid application until you've applied because you don't exist in their system yet. So just know that once you've applied, you will want to do the FAFSA. Um, Financial aid applications are processed on a first come, first served basis. And so the sooner you apply, generally the better it is for you, particularly if your family is a lower income or lower middle income family. You're going to be eligible for more of that first come, first serve money. So a little more important for those students to apply early so they can apply for financial aid early. Once you have applied to college and done financial aid stuff, then you're going to start seeing application windows opening up for scholarships. And it might be through the colleges, it might be private ones, it might be ones through a parent's workplace. These I'm going to say are typically happening probably December through February is kind of our scholarship peak time. So just to give you an idea on that, you can certainly start earlier than that. There's lots of different search engines out there for scholarships. As long as they don't charge you a fee, those are fine to use. You typically have to make an account on one, and it'll match you up with whatever scholarships you are a good fit for. As you get into the spring next year, your timeline for deciding what school you are going to attend is typically May 1st, although that can certainly vary by school. If you want to go to M State, you can decide up until the day classes start that you want to enroll there. But generally, May 1st is going to be the decision deadline for most schools. Once you've decided where you want to go, then you can register for housing and a registration and orientation date. The colleges will automatically send you information on that. Some students have that stuff done as early as January, which is just fine. But don't panic if you don't have that done that early. Oftentimes, that is kind of a spring task that you're going to do. So, I know that's a lot of information and I don't mean to overwhelm you, but I also know that if this is your first time going through this process, it's a little bit overwhelming. Additionally, if this is if you've had older students that have already gone through the process, be aware that it's going to look a lot different this year just because processes are changing. They're going to be continuing to change. Timelines may be shifted back a little bit to accommodate students who just need more time to decide or maybe haven't taken the ACT yet. So the main takeaway is that as you're doing this process of researching what it is you want to do and navigating the steps you have to do for that, make sure that you are asking questions as you have them. Ask your military recruiter questions, ask your college admissions reps questions. You can ask me questions, but more so ask the people that are in charge of the places you're interested in. How are they handling things? What is this going to look like? So that you can get up to date information. At this point, we're finding that college websites, the ACT website, are some of the most reliable and up to date sources of information for changes as this whole process of college admissions is evolving in relation to COVID 19 restrictions. So keep an eye on those websites and those testing sites. And hopefully, things will have settled down enough in the fall that I can give you some solid guidance along the way as well. If you need anything, get a hold of me anytime. I am working through the morning of June 1st, and then I'm off for the summer. I usually come back the last week in August, so you can sure catch me in my office, hopefully at that time. So, with that, man, have a good summer, juniors. Don't sweat it. You're going to figure it out. Start thinking, though, about what it is you dream about doing after high school. Take care, everyone.